Welcome to Native Calgarian and Mossy for listening. I'm your host, Michelle Robinson, speaking to you in Mohkinstsis in the Blackfoot Confederacy, home of the Niitsitapi, Tsuut'ina Dene, and the Yiharhi Nakota. I talk about history, current news, unheard news, book clubs, with special guests to give local or national issues a voice through an urban Satu Dene lens. My life's work will be to honor the voices of my ancestors and next generation with humor, love, and truth. Reconciliation is work, not performance. May we honor all Indigenous voices with that courage. Today is June 2nd, 2015. Welcome to Native Calgarian. If you enjoy hearing Indigenous content by this Satu Dene woman, my Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for already showing your support. For those who cannot afford to give, I would love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. Also, giving a review helps, whatever medium you're listening from. I have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe. Go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media. And always remember to share the things you learn to your network, because we are in a time of reconciliation. Today is actually the 10th anniversary of the final report release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And a lot of people are still unsure about a lot of things that, frankly, I would have thought they'd known by now. So please share whatever you learned today. Oki, nagana go, meko che chestokom aki, nera, dago, de kots nago tine siku saradi. My name is Red Thunder Woman. My married English name is Michelle Robinson, and I use they, them pronouns. My Dene lineage roots me in the land of the Great Bear Lake Tribe in Treaty 11 in Delaney. I'm a native to Turtle Island, and my Dene nation is uninvited to this area of Clincho Tine Indahe in Satu Dene, meaning many big dog town, named after the Calgary Stampede. I was born in Calgary, or in Blackfoot, Mohkinstsis, as Michelle Elliott, an English name which has afforded me privilege in an English colonial world. Proximity to whiteness is important because the darker the skin, the more racism a person experiences in colonial spaces. My late great-grandfather is Milo Buell from Delaney. His daughter, Alice, is my now late granny. My mother and I are Northern Slavey Dene, or Satu Dene, but my Indian Act imposed status card by the Canadian government says Yellowknives Dene. Through my father, I am a daughter of the Mayflower and a daughter of the American Revolution. Having a Canadian Indian Act imposed status card is a colonial construct by Canadian policies meant to divide Indigenous peoples' inherent rights. Indigenous Two-Spirit, or the Indigenous 2S LGBTQ community, and Indigenous women are at the bottom of the Canadian socio-economic ladder because of colonial trauma, imposed poverty, racism, gendered violence, and land theft. I'm not a social worker nor an elder, nor do I speak on behalf of all Indigenous peoples, but I can share my journey as a newly diagnosed ADHD Dene mom navigating this colonial, ableist, misogynistic, racist world in 2025. I think of all of this today, and I hope we honor the many Indigenous lives lost for this so-called country named Canada. I hope you see your role in the importance of stopping harm, and as a citizen, see your role in reconciliation and as a treaty partner. Land Back is a movement that could save the planet from climate change created by colonialism, but it would be a part of a treaty partnership, part of meaningful reconciliation, and honoring global initiatives like the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. As a former geomatics drafter, I'd be happy to teach you more, but you have to pay me. Go to nativecalgarian.com for more. And today I want to welcome my new guest. I'm so excited to share some Indigenous joy. Would you like to introduce yourself in your way?
Yeah, hello. My name's Courtney Gouchey. I come from a really small town in BC, but my mom is from it's called Horse Lake First Nations, like Cree Nation. But yeah, we're Cree and Beaver. I'm pretty sure that's what she told me. And yeah, my grandpa, his name's Alexander Goucher. My grandma, her original name, maiden name was Edna Goucher. No, not Edna Goucher, sorry, Edna Jokum.
Oh,
But
cool.
yeah, we have a really big family, and my favorite thing to do is probably just spend time with them, like in my free time, of course, because I'm really busy with focusing on school, getting my grades up and all that. But yeah, unfortunately, don't have a spirit name. I really want to get one. Like, hopefully, have a naming. We actually are gonna go to a naming ceremony, like the school field trip we have. So that's really cool. Hopefully, it's gonna be a Blackfoot name, but that's okay. I'm not not biased on that. So,
You know what I found is that the spirit name, like once you translate it into your different, like I said mine in Blackfoot and then in my language of Sachu Dene, or butchered it in my language of Sachu Dene. And so it's the same meaning, but
yeah,
it's said slightly different. So when
yeah,
you get it, you'll be able to get it translated.
yeah, that'd be really cool. So, really hoping for the best for that. And yeah, the majority thing is just like, yeah, just really focused on like trying to learn more about my culture because that's really what kind of helped me. I feel like to push me so far in like being optimistic and like, resilient through tough times and stuff like that and such. But
Oh, that's wonderful.
pretty,
I wanted to ask you, how did you end up in Calgary?
oh, actually it's a funny story. Ended up in Calgary because we moved to Red Deer from Edmonton, and that was like at a stage where I was like, teenage angst. I was didn't want to move, and I didn't have really good relationships or whatever in the school I was in, and the teachers weren't really beneficial to me. And I was like feeling like, very like, oh, I'm like down on myself. Like I know I'm smart, I know I can do this, but I just like don't want to because I'm not getting the support I need. And I
Sure.
realized that, and I was like, I acknowledged it, and I told my mom like, this isn't the best for me. I feel like I should go like do be somewhere else where I could maybe succeed a little more. And it was funny because yeah, I ended up like going with my cousin and living with her for a little bit. And she was like, okay, well, if you're gonna live with me, you're gonna go to school, obviously. And I was like, yeah, yeah, that's what I was planning on doing. And she enrolled me to the closest school, and that ended up being Jack James, and that was the best fit for me. And it ended up being really, really beneficial in the end. Yeah, it was really crazy, but
I'm really happy to hear that it was good for you. Yeah, I had some poor experiences as like in myself as well as with my daughter that we know, and yeah, I just can't say enough positive things about Jack James. I could burn some of the other CBE story schools to the ground, but this one's a good one. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's very like it's very different, like very different from what you would normally see for high school. And it's like, yeah, even though it took kind of the long route and took an extra year of school, it was very it's because I want to do what I want to do now. And it's because of Jack James where I realized, yeah, okay, I can do this. I'm smart enough, and they gave me the, courage to actually, yeah, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, no, that's why I love them too, and I appreciate you sharing that. So why I wanted to have you on was I was in the crowd waiting for my daughter to get her Indigenous Leadership Award, and they brought up a special guest who had the cutest shoes I've ever seen, and she started talking about a scholarship that you won. And I was blown away. I was blown away that this scholarship exists, that there were, and that you had gotten it. Do you want to tell us about what made you write the scholarship and just tell us the story of what that was like, knowing that you wanted to move on to post-secondary?
Yeah, it was like I always knew that like since last year or whatever, like I wanted to become an EA at first, and I was like I could like with the grades and stuff that I had already, I could have already been doing that. But I was like, actually, EAs like do impactful things, but I seen like the negative side of that being like, I had a little sister, she was disabled and she needed EAs when she was going to school, and she ended up passing away at a young age, and it had a really hard hard effect on our family, but also the caregivers that were at the school because they had an attachment like we did with her because they treated her like family, and it was like that's what made me really want to like become a teacher because teachers are like very loving and very like they don't care about like anything like they're like about equality, like most of them, majority of them that I've seen. It's like they're very like optimistic, and they like, even if they have a bad day, they don't put it on the kids. You know, it's not on the kids. It's, you know, they're innocent and they're, you know, just learning, you know, they're having a bad day too. Like it's such a different atmosphere because I was like thinking of what I was gonna do when I was growing up. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what I'd actually enjoy, but I took the course. Like it was really funny because I like enrolled very late, so I didn't have an option to go to culinary or automotive or whatever. They're like the only thing we have open is childcare, but you'd have to start at the grade 10 level if you're okay with that. And I was like, yeah, I could try it. And I did the grade 10 level, started the grade 11 is where you actually start working with the kids. And I really, really enjoyed that. I was like, little kids are so cute, even though you know, sometimes they do, you know, accidentally with their pants or like accidents happen. You know, they're innocent. They're so cute. I just love kids. And yeah, that's probably the main reason too that helped me want to become a teacher. But yeah, that scholarship is insane. It was like one of my counselors, like helpers, I'm not sure what to call her, but she like helps me with like she helped me get on this housing so I can have my own apartment. And I've almost had it for almost a year now, coming up in July. And that's really crazy. I like my auntie brought that up to me the other day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." I was like, "That's crazy," but her name's Erin Anderson, and she helped me just like with a bunch of things. But she was like really adamant on like, "You should try this. You should try to get this scholarship." And I didn't look into it until the day it was due, the deadline.
Yeah.
And I was writing it the deadline, like the deadline day, because she sent it to me over the weekend. Like she sent it to me on like Friday, and she's like, "Hey, do you think you'd want to like write this essay over the weekend?" And I was busy over the weekend, like with my auntie and just busy, so I ended up doing it the day of that morning, and it was so crazy because I like, yeah, it was a 500 word essay, but I was like, oh, it must be minimum 500 words. I ended up writing like 612, but it was like maximum 500 words, so we had to revise it a bunch, but we kept the important parts, of course, and it was good enough to get $100,000 for 4 years of school. That's really crazy because only 10 kids got it out of all CBE. And I was like, what the heck? It was so surreal to me because, like, never in a million years, trillion years, did I ever think that, you know, they were going to look at my essay twice or something. That's so crazy.
Oh, that's amazing. How many people do you think submitted an application?
Oh, they said that there is like when that lady was talking to me, like at first when I got the email that she wanted to like call me and she wanted to do it on Zoom call, I was like, oh, maybe it's like an interview thing where these like people that are sponsoring are wanting to do like an interview thing so they can actually see who the person is that's writing the essay. But no, she was like, oh, I just wanted to be on call and is it okay if I record? And I was like, yeah, this is definitely should be an interview. And then she's like, no, yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you on getting the scholarship. And I was like, what? And I like yeah, I had a couple of happy tears because it was so crazy. I didn't even have words to say to her except for like thank you, even though, you know, it's not her. She was just the one telling me the good news. But it was really crazy because yeah, she was telling me that there was over 100 applicants. I was like, that's crazy. Like that's a lot of people. And like, yeah, it could have been any 4 year program. It didn't have to be just education. It's like any 4 year program that you're really devoted to or whatever, which like it had something to do along the lines of like, why do you need this scholarship and what are you planning to do like to impact the future? And yeah, I just said that like, you know, I really care about kids and like I want to impact them in a meaningful way that like, you know, that like favorite teacher that you had growing up. Like I
Yeah.
aspire to be like kind of like that. Hopefully at least a couple kids.
Right on. Well, I can't congratulate you enough. I'm so proud of you just as a, community member and mom of one of your peers. I talked to my child about you and I was like, what like is this person? And I said, "Oh, I think she's a single mom." And she goes, "No. She's taking childcare, mom. There's a difference." And
Yeah, it's funny.
so I laughed pretty hard and My understanding is that you live really far away and you get to school every single day.
Yeah.
And she actually went on kind of a bit of a rant of how it is that you can seem to make it to school on time and regularly. And she was very proud of you as well in
Oh,
that way, the way she spoke about you and how you live on your own and that you have done this without family. So, like I know you had said earlier, family's a big part of your life, absolutely. But just you are living on your own and you are
mhm.
commuting and you're doing and you won a scholarship. So I know there's a lot of barriers and a lot of odds and you're surpassing them.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, yeah, the amount of like appreciation I got for just getting the award or even like coming to this point. Yeah, it's like I feel the love, but yeah, I can't. It still doesn't go through my head. Like I don't even think it'll be real when it happens. Like it's so crazy. Like yeah, I don't it's really nice that I don't like gotta worry about kind of the financials of going to school and like worrying about getting a job and extra things that can like be a barrier and like stop you from achieving your goal. And yeah, so the fact that I got like, it's like, yeah, my auntie was saying that it's like I won the lottery, and I was like, yeah, a little bit. And she was like rubbing me. I was like, oh, you're rubbing me for good luck. Well, that's what her husband said, but yeah, it was
Come
funny.
to bingo.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what she said. She's like, did you buy a lottery ticket? I was like, oh, I don't want to, what, like spend my luck too fast there. Yeah.
Well, most natives I know that have gone and university degree are tens of thousands of dollars in debt. So I am so happy for you. I'm so happy that you can do this. And do you know, are you going to Harvard or where are you
No,
thinking about going?
I want to go to Mount Royal. It's actually closer than Jack James is right now. I'd say yeah, I take the bus to school and it's like an hour and 20 minutes to school every day. But yeah, we get up in the morning and just make it to school. It's a nice thing that they also like kind of backed up the schedule. So it's like instead of starting at 8:30, it's at 8:50, so we get that extra 20 minutes. But other than that, yeah, I got used to it. You get used to it after a while, and after being like on a routine, obviously it gets like kind of natural.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely will be way better only being like 35 minutes because yeah, the bus is like only one bus and it goes straight to Mount Royal from where I live. So that's way more convenient.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, where I live is like yeah, it's very like more convenient spot because it's like I don't know, they have like really big trees over here. It looks really nice and old and then old, not old, but it's nice and quiet at night. So it's not.
Well, that area used to be a military base. I'm a total nerd and can tell you all about it, but we will get off track if I started doing that. So I'm really glad that you are able to do this, and I'm really happy you chose Mount Royal. I think, I remember when they were still just a college downtown, and now look at they're this university, and so many natives seem to be thriving in that area. So
Mhm.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, this I think it was the most beneficial place for me because I have one more high school course that I need for my to be able to get into my degree, and they have the Indigenous University Bridging program there. So I'm able to do my one class in there. Like in that bridging program, I can start my university classes as well. So that's really cool.
I'm so happy for you. Is there anything else you want to tell us about this journey?
Hmm. Oh, sorry. Low battery. Sorry, but yeah, it was 20%. But to be honest, yeah, no, the journey is like I wouldn't say it was easy at all, obviously, but it it is a lot easier when you have like supports and you like ask for the help that you need. Because when I didn't, it's definitely more difficult and like people are willing to help you. It wasn't just my family, like lots of it was from the school and from like, peers and just other like, talking to people, just like, getting it off your chest sometimes because the worst thing is to like have yourself like festering of stress just because you can't talk to people about it or you're just shy about it because sometimes things are tough to talk about because people usually don't talk about things because we like to seem like we're all happy and life's all butterflies and rainbows when, obviously the storm needs to come before the rainbows,
No kidding.
So like it's very, yeah, you got to go through the storm to make it out like victorious, I'd say.
Hmm.
And we all like find our victories in everything. Like, I always found those small victories. Like I was not expecting to get this scholarship. So like the fact that I got that, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be my victory for a while until something comes rolling. Yeah, but once I graduate, it'll be all good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Do you think you might stay in Calgary or do you think you might move on maybe back to your home nation or anything?
Mm, I'm not too sure about that right now. I think I'm just staying in Calgary for school mainly, but I also am like I'm just starting to like, get to know the city and stuff, so it's starting to grow on me a little bit. Yeah, and once you like, I don't know, I call this place home now because I've done so much and it's done so much for me, so why would I leave? No, I'm just kidding, but
I
really
feel you. I feel you. It is hard to leave this place. I don't know why. So,
it's a No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, a little bit it just feels comfy here and like I have family here too, so that's also another factor that helps me because they're always willing to lend a hand even if I don't need it. But they're always there, so it's
right
very,
on.
very nice. And yeah, even just like going on down to the river or something, even if you've had a long day and you have like some homework to do and it's stressing you out, just connecting with the land, even like you forget everything as soon as you touch that cold water. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. No, and there's so much like forest within the city. That's the best part is that like you can literally be in the middle of the city and not see or hear the city.
yeah, that's literally it's the
Yeah.
craziest thing as you notice like the trees are growing flowers and it looks so beautiful out. You're like, oh yeah, yeah, this is what life's about. Like after a
Right. Oh, and right now we're just at the tail end of the lilac season. So like that's my favorite smell. And you get it for maybe 3 weeks a year. So it's just so wonderful. And I love this moment where you get like all of the blossoms on the trees. Like it's just a beautiful moment. So I'm really happy for you. I'm really happy that's the way you connect. I try to tell people between walking my dogs and being in the city, like it's enough for me.
Mhm.
And I don't think a lot of like, res people understand. So
Yeah, definitely. They're just like, what you mean? They're like, I'd rather be inside or going to the fast food place or whatever. I'm like,
100%, my goodness. Well, it was wonderful getting to know you, Courtney. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. When do you start? September?
yeah, September 2nd.
Nice. Well, congratulations on your scholarship. And I'm so grateful that I got to meet you. I'm grateful you came onto the podcast. And just know you are welcome to come on anytime, no matter what it is that you're doing in your life, to talk about what it is you want to talk about.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, she was just a lovely human being to have on the podcast. And I think it's important, to talk about Indigenous joy, graduation, really important month, obviously, now that it's June 2nd and it's Pride, it's Indigenous Awareness Month. So I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate one of Sam's classmates getting $100,000 scholarship to go to school. Um, I've never heard of that before, actually. So it just kind of blew me out of the water. And I was the only person who gave her a standing ovation. I can't understand that at all. Um, really happy for her that she gets to move on to be a teacher that she wants to be because I think for Sam, she was so successful because of good teachers that were there. So I just want to say thank you, folks, for listening. Because it's Monday, June 2nd, I have a meeting on Wednesday with the RCMP. So that will already have been passed by the time this one airs. And we're going to be talking to them about the G7. And interestingly enough, not yesterday, but the day before, Ukraine launched this attack on Russia that ended up being, well, it's a Goliath and David type story. It's incredible. And it really impacted Russia. And I'm, as a layperson, just a little concerned about G7 being here in about 2 weeks, and Vladimir Zelensky being here in Calgary and out at Kananaskis, and Russia probably a little pissed. So be interested to see what the RCMP have to say about that. But really, they're just going to be saying, you activists, just stay over in this corner. And I wish I had a t-shirt in time to say, congratulations, Yenta. For folks who haven't seen the documentary, it's on Netflix right now. And they just won some awards last night for it. And I was telling my husband about that and the meeting coming up, and I said, I feel like I wish I had a shirt that said, congratulations, Yenta, or not an orc. And he said, what are you talking about? Because we're a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And I said, yeah, well, it came out like a year ago in their testimony that they had called all the women at the Wet'suwet'en orcs. And I could tell it really impacted him, and as it should. It should piss off everyone that somebody would, one, ruin the legacy of Tolkien, but two, say that about another Indigenous woman. Like, it just shows the absolute hate that Canadians have been taught about Indigenous women, but also about the Wet'suwet'en that were protecting their land, the Yenta. So if you get a chance to watch that documentary, no, it is now an award-winning documentary and telling the story. I'm proud to have had two protests in front of TC because what they did was wrong. The BC government under the NDP, they authorized the RCMP mistreating these Indigenous women, the Wet'suwet'en women, and it's going to be a lot of healing. So I found it really funny when they reached out and they were wanting to start new relations, and I've heard that before. I've heard that before from the Calgary police, so I just know it's a lie, and it's just that they want to basically know who to contact, who to blame, and who to throw in jail the 2 days before they come. I don't know. Anyway, really interesting. I seen a Hercules go over. I was driving down 36, and you can see all the planes coming, and I was looking up, and I seen it was a Hercules. So I had posted that on the internet, and then my friend, who past guest, Robert Falcon Ouellette, he had posted that they were landing in Winnipeg too, and but I'm sure they're for the wildfires for them. We do have wildfires here in Alberta, but I'm pretty sure that was to prepare for the G7. Apparently, there is a Pride 7, so they had representatives of each country come to Kananaskis already to talk about recommendations for the G7 for Pride. And I just thought, uh-huh, mm-hmm. And I looked at the picture. I didn't recognize a single person, but that doesn't mean anything. That just means I'm ignorant. And I was looking to see if there was like Indigenous representation, anything like that. So I kind of was being a jerk and I tweeted out, oh, I wonder if they advocated for the 231 calls to justice, because every year I see people say, oh my God, happy Pride, but they never talk about, the action they're taking. They don't talk about their metrics of, how many queer folks that they have hired and how many, like the retention of those queer folks. They don't talk about that. So, and I think that every Canadian Pride organization should absolutely be advocating for the 231 calls to justice, because they're queer centered, and they don't because they're racist. So there's no nice way to say it. Sorry, folks. I was at the AGM for Calgary Pride, and it was a long one. The biggest thing that they were concerned about was a resolution that was coming up. So anyway, I was there thanks to another community member who told me to be there and to vote against it, and it was struck down. It was struck down. It was changing Calgary Pride to a charity. And, lots of folks chimed in. I just kept my mouth shut because I'm straight and cis, but they said that, a lot of people said we need advocacy more than we've ever needed advocacy before. And I couldn't agree more. For folks who don't know, Danielle Smith is now doing a book banning because of some kind of activist group, conservative activist group, that has given them a list of queer books to ban. And, everybody's just, oh yeah, that's totally fine. It's totally fine, which it's not fine at all. It is what it is. And the reason why all of this really matters, and my heart's a little heavy right now, is because today there was a prominent Indigenous, and some people call him an elder, actually. I didn't, I am so not interested in like Hollywood at all. So I feel quite bad not knowing who this person was. But he was a voice member for King of the Hill. And King of the Hill is some kind of cartoon that I never paid attention to. I like South Park, but that I never watched like Beavis and Butthead or King of the Hill or anything like that. Anyway, well respected. His name was Jonathan Jose. And trigger warning, very sad story to tell you is that this man was killed, murdered by his neighbor. Apparent his partner, so Jonathan Joss's partner, who was male, put out a statement and told the story about this neighbor hating them and being terrible and telling them they were going to set their house on fire. Their house was set on fire, and the police went, "What fire?" and never did anything about it. So anyway, they were going down, check the mail, and this guy shows up and shot him and killed him. And a lot of, unfortunately, media and content creators like, oh my God, this is a homophobic hate crime, which I'm sure it was. But they also forget to mention that he was Comanche and White Mountain Apache ancestry. So, like an actual native being murdered. Um, and nobody is, mentioning that, just committing this erasure of our people again. I know in the States they don't celebrate Aboriginal Awareness, or Aboriginal Month, but we are supposed to. And yet, even our content creators are, I don't know why they can't. They're racist. There's no nice way to say it. Um, I seen a lot of the other native content creators, they were starting to speak up about it as well. Because I seen the guy's picture, I'm like, that guy's a native. So then I started looking him up and I'm like, yep, yep, yep. And then I started seeing other people. And in fact, one of the folks that I'm lucky enough to be a friend on Facebook, and some of us older people who are native, like when Facebook first started, we all found each other right away. So I've been lucky enough to kind of get to know him. Anyway, his name is John Santananta Proudstar, and he said that I met Jonathan in the 90s, and he gave me the monkey or my evil twin because we had so much in common. And he was a funny, quick-witted guy. I still can't believe he's gone. Native country has a lost and has lost an immense talent. Walk on with honor, Jonathan Joss. And yeah, just sad. I didn't really know who he was, but it's uh, it's just a sad story, and what a hell of a way for us to start Pride and Indigenous Awareness Month here in Canada to have one of our, Hollywood elders pass in the most horrific, terrible way, and in front of his partner, nonetheless. So. Yesterday, wonderfully, again, our local Palestinian, pro-Palestinian group put out another protest, and really proud of them for all of the hard work that they've continuously done. I feel like there's been a bit of a shift lately. One of my favorite actresses from Andor, turns out is Irish, and she was speaking out for Palestine as well. Really glad that people are doing that good work. And today, out of all days, there's just so much happening so quick. Mark Carney is on this nation building project, and today he was meeting all of these folks in Saskatoon, all the premiers basically. And of course, the only person who has her wet panties in a bunch is Danielle Smith. She never has anything positive to say and is definitely not a team player. But back in Ontario, back home, while Doug's Ford was in Saskatoon at this meeting, having a wonderful time. One of our Indigenous, in there they call them MPPs, had got up and spoke in the House or in the legislature and said that Doug Ford's not being truthful about honoring the treaties, and the legislature kicked him out for doing that. And the reason why, because they're trying to really push through projects, and This Bill 5 in Ontario is to try to help fast track a lot of projects, but without real meaningful Indigenous consultation. So rightfully, that MPP, Sol Makama, was, speaking out rightfully and got kicked out of the legislature for speaking truth. And very proud of him, honored that he would do such a great thing. And I wish he wasn't alone. I wish all these people who claim to be for reconciliation and claim to be for like allies would do something more so that it's not the native guy. It's not me as a native woman speaking out against the Beaufort Towers or whatever it is that we all have to speak out about for the moment because our allies, who steal our land, steal our native names, they don't do the systemic changes that we have been begging for since long before the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples in 1996. Like it's frustrating to me that we're still here. And now we have this nation building concept, but not real conversation about what it is we're talking about. We're talking about, doing things on Indigenous lands without their consent again, which doesn't help with reconciliation. Now, I have a little more faith in Mark Carney, but the problem is that you know, that jurisdiction for a lot of the resource development, which is what they want to do as an energy to power, that's a lot of territorial and provincial jurisdictions, not necessarily Canadian. So I don't know if he's just going to get squeaky clean out of this. I don't know. I do want to bring everybody's attention to my link tree because it has a lot of the petitions I'd like people to sign. I have one about security clearance for all leaders. I have a Daniel Smith one. Um, and I think it's really important to bring this up today out of all days because over the weekend we found out about the UCP book banning that they want to put through. Folks, like I can't stress this enough. This is Nazi Germany shit. I'm not saying this lightly. I mean, I have felt since Harper the constant pressure of this white supremacy and militarism, and I know we're ramping up. And now that there's been an attack in Ukraine or by Ukraine to Russia, like I have no idea what's about to happen because I know Israel is losing support and we are trying to distance ourselves from the US. So I don't know what the future holds, but I do know people have to like learn, have to read a book. And if you have, this idea that you get to sit back, that's not okay. I just had an Indigenous woman living on her own, finishing her high school degree, worked to get a scholarship, and she doesn't have a spirit name. And yet our so-called allies are getting them left, right, and center. If you feel attacked by me saying this, I'm going to say this to you directly. Your responsibility is to get every Native kid, every Native, a spirit name before you start taking it. Because you and your ancestors get to benefit at the erasure of our culture. It's not fun. It's not easy to have to try to learn about your culture in between trying to pay your bills when you've already have the government's, having systemic poverty on you. All these businesses purposely not hiring you, purposely not retaining you. Like the privilege, the audacity. It's so upsetting to me. I also wanted to do a quick plug in for Sankofa. I've been sharing it on my social media. It's also in my link tree. This is a group trying to promote the Black grads. Why this matters to me is that we just had the Indigenous grads for my daughter, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful to see so many folks celebrating our indigeneity and our, academic celebration. Both. It was amazing. Unfortunately, not all families can make it. Friday afternoon, but also not everybody's proud still to be Native. And that's why it pisses me off when white people get into spirit names because you don't know what it's like to hate yourself in a country that's taught you to hate yourself. You just have no idea. It's not the same in any capacity. Intergenerational hate. It's horrendous that people don't understand that until every native feels proud to, you know, wear regalia, wear their Métis sash, get their Inuit tattooing on their face, on their hands, on their body. Like it is a very different world being a native to a non-native, the pride. It's really hard. It wasn't until I read a lot of stuff on the systemic racism imposed and understanding colonialism that I finally understood I should be proud that I'm a survivor of genocide. And and I'm not surviving great. I mean, I'm already on heart meds. I know I've had undiagnosed ADHD for 48 years. You know, it's not easy. I know finding a doctor or a dentist is going to be another Mount Everest for me to go climb. And yeah, that's not the same experience that non-natives have. And I can't stress that enough. So we got to have a wonderful Indigenous grad. The CBE said that they estimate about 300 Indigenous students are graduating this year. Only about 170 registered for the event that we went to. And I've seen some friends and elders that I was lucky to see. Lots of wonderful staff that was there to, encourage and lift up everybody. Tim Fox, he was the one who emceed it, so I got to see him. My child gave Dr. Clarence Wolflake the tobacco to open us up in a good way, and oh my God, the food was so good. So they have a culinary student team that did it, and they had this stew that tasted like KFC gravy. Oh, it was so good. Their bannock was great. And then there was a piece of cake with Saskatoon berries on top. So I was a happy little camper having my wonderful dinner and watching the grads and watching my daughter with her friend. Her friend's parents couldn't make it for whichever reason, and she was wearing a ribbon shirt, so and looked real good in it too. She's also going to be at SAIT for trades. I think it's electrical. Anyway, yeah, just a wonderful time. And I want that for the Black community. I want the Black grads to have a safe space to be authentically themselves without, you know, the school board trying to diminish their shine as white supremacy does. And nobody can convince me, even as wonderful as my daughter's experience at Jack James was, that these other schools and the CBE's administration understand how hard it is to be Indigenous in a white supremacist system, going to school in a John A. Macdonald high school or whatever. So, not okay is what it is. I can't do anything about it. I'm trying. So if you listen to me, you know I encourage the Reconciliation Action Group. Truthfully, we would love to have more settlers help out. And but the problem with settlers is that if it's not their way, they get their panties in a bunch and they have to go run and hide. And, reading the 94 calls to action and the 231 calls to justice is too much work for so many settlers. So, unfortunately, 10-year anniversary, the settlers that are in the Reconciliation Action Group could really use some help. And I'm shocked to how little people are willing to uncenter their whiteness in order to center Indigenous folks in that conversation. But this is where we're at. So, 10 years into the report, and it's Pride, and I'm seeing zero coverage of 231 calls to justice, which just shows me how far we still have to go. Really want to encourage people to join our book club. I have a book club. You can go to my link in all my websites, my link tree, it's there too. Our measles count is now over 700 in Alberta. So if you are, able to go get vaccinated. Our book club, next one is going to be Kent Monkman. And a special shout out for November's book, Art of the Medicine Line by Tony Rees, as We are having conversations about, 51st state, which is disgusting. So join our Reconciliation Action Group, join our book club, and listen and promote other Indigenous content as well. Masi Cho to my ancestors, they are my teachers, to my granny of and mom of what strength looks like through your example. I want to thank my dad for teaching me to be strong and blunt, my stepmom for showing me a proud culture, and it is through her I'm a second generation Calgarian. I want to thank my husband, Darcy. He produces, edits the show. He's my husband, childhood friend, father of our child, and my support down this journey. He has witnessed decades of ableism, racism, sexism, fat shaming, to our child. We are so blessed to learn from you daily. We are honored you chose us. You give me daily accountability to be a better and stronger person. And I hope one day everyone will understand us discussing these issues. I honor the Blackfoot, the elders, as they have been so kind to me on my Red Road journey. Dr. Clarence Wolflag, Red Crane, Red Crane, he taught me how to pronounce my spirit name. And Leonard Kenny taught me how to say it in Satu Dene. My humblest apologies to all the elders, language keepers, as I try to learn. Um, my Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. If you value listening and watching and can afford to give, thank you. For those who cannot afford to give, I'd love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. I also have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe. You can go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media if you're having troubles finding that. The last thing I'd like to say is that apparently we're getting a heck of a solar flare from the sun. So tonight, out of all nights, we're going to have a massive amount of all across Canada being able to see the northern lights. It's just unfortunate because with the wildfires and the cloud, we may not see any of it. And I just wanted to give a final shout out to all of the folks being affected by the fires, seeing horrific things on TikTok. But I just want to share one thought with you all before I go. And it was that, I've seen this one TikTok and it just hit me so hard because it was Friday morning and we were getting ready for Sam's Indigenous grad. And these Indigenous students from, I want to say it was Manitoba and not Saskatchewan. They had dressed up all in their prom dresses and their suits, and they took pictures with the big plumes of smoke and fire behind them, knowing that they were probably not going to see their community again, and they certainly weren't going to have their grad there. And I just bawled. I just bawled. So, for all the folks affected by the fire, know that we're thinking of you. You are in our prayers, and you deserve the world. And I wish Canadians would do more, as some of the other content creators pointed out in Los Angeles, where there's lots of money. That was on the news cycle 24/7. But it's funny when it's natives up north, how little Canadians and the Canadian media cover it. So just wanted to point that out for you, and I want to thank you for listening. And I always end by giving side eye to those Calgary rabbits. You're lucky I'm not tradish. My beautiful cousin would respond, or you'd be in my dish. Thanks, folks, for listening.